Imagine waking up and feeling your heart racing, as if you were about to run a marathon, but all you have to do is get out of bed. Have you ever felt that fluttering in your chest early in the morning, even for no apparent reason? No, it's not just you. And no, it's not normal for your age. Today, I'm going to show you something that you've probably never been told. Anxiety doesn't have to be the soundtrack of your days after 60. You're about to discover how small changes can transform your routine. And best of all, using tools that you already have right there in your own body. You know that old saying that worried old people are a thing of the past? Well, that was back in the days of valve radios. Now it's time to turn off that restlessness. In this video, you'll learn how to control anxiety, even when it appears out of nowhere, whether before breakfast or when the lights go out. I'm going to tell you simple techniques that are easy to apply and that don't require any weird equipment or endless visits to the doctor. It's all up to you. And to start, you'll need something that everyone has, a desire to try a new way of taking care of yourself. But why on earth talk about anxiety to someone who's over 60? Because it's one of the biggest thieves of your energy, your peaceful sleep, and that joy of waking up without a weight on your shoulders. That's no exaggeration. Do you know how many elderly people in Brazil live with frequent anxiety? 7 out of 10. That's right, 70%. Can you imagine? If this were a supermarket sale, there would be a line out the door. Take a deep breath. Seriously, do it now. Feel the air entering your nose, slowly descending, filling your chest. This is your first step. Anxiety, despite being so common, is like a faucet that's been left half open and keeps dripping worry all day long. But unlike a leaky pipe, you can adjust this flow. With small daily actions, you can turn off this faucet a little and feel lighter in the first few mornings. Remember when we had to get up to change the TV channel? It was hard work, but all we had to do was stretch out our arm. With anxiety, it's similar. A simple movement can change everything. In the next section, I'll show you how to make that first click and start adjusting the rhythm of your day. At first, it may seem like anxiety is part of the daily landscape, like the old clock that chimes the hours on the living room wall. But suddenly, it asserts itself. A tightness in the chest, shortness of breath, the urge to get out of bed before the sun even rises. And then we met Helena. She always liked waking up early to water the plants, but in the last few months, her fingers were shaking so much holding the watering can that the water would escape, forming puddles on the floor. The smell of fresh coffee was no longer an invitation, but rather a reminder of a time when mornings began lightly. Helena felt her heart race when she heard the stove whistle, as if every sound in the house announced something urgent. She stopped talking to her friends at the gate, afraid that they would notice her restlessness. For her, anxiety was not just a nuisance. It was a shadow that stole the color of the days and closed doors. This experience, although unique to Helena, is surprisingly common. Recent studies show that 7 in 10 elderly people report frequent symptoms of anxiety, especially upon waking. It's as if, at that moment, the worry tap was turned on too wide, flowing non-stop. But what happens in the body? The term hypervigilance appears. It means that the brain is on constant alert, ready to react to even the slightest sign of threat. Pause. This does not depend on will or weakness. It is an automatic response, but it can be softened. Now, imagine waking up feeling your heart beating like a samba school, and not with joy. Your entire body goes into a state of waiting, as if something bad was going to happen. Your hands sweat, your mouth is dry, your head spins in circles of worry. Sleep, which should be restorative, turns into yet another nocturnal battle. The day begins already tired. Have you ever felt this way? Or do you know someone who, despite all their life experience, still wakes up feeling like they're about to face a storm. It's curious. Many believe that, with time, the mind should calm down like a square on a Sunday afternoon. But the truth is that, for many people, anxiety just changes its appearance. Who hasn't found themselves laughing alone when remembering the times when the biggest concern was not missing the bus? Life changes, but the faucet is still there, and learning to turn the handle could be the next step. What could be causing this faucet to go out of control? Have you ever heard that old saying that after a certain age, there's no point in trying to learn anything new? Many people believe that the brain ages like an old faucet. It starts to rust and no longer responds to adjustments. But this idea is nothing more than a myth. Science shows that the brain has something called neuroplasticity. That is, it is capable of creating new connections even as the years go by. In other words, the brain is like that old faucet that, with a little oil and patience, starts working properly again. And do you know what's best? Every attempt at something new, be it a simple stretch in the morning or a different conversation at the bakery, is like a drop of oil that keeps the gears alive. Antonio, for example, took the risk of learning how to use his cell phone to send messages to his grandchildren. At first, it seemed impossible. Today, he even sends funny stickers. This shows that, contrary to what people say, there is always time to make small adjustments to your routine. Many are surprised to discover that anxiety does not mean weakness or lack of willpower. There is a misconception that those who feel anxious are weak or giving in. In practice, anxiety has much more to do with brain chemistry than with character. One of the culprits is cortisol, known as the stress hormone. It acts like an alarm that goes off even when there is no real danger. Loud, annoying, and persistent, but it can be controlled. When Helena realized that her mornings were being dominated by restlessness, she thought it was a sign of weakness. But when she talked to other people, she discovered that even the strongest people go through this, and that asking for help doesn't make anyone feel any less. In fact, sharing what you feel is like turning on the tap just a little bit to relieve the pressure. Now, I want to hear from you. Have you ever faced any of these situations? What was the most difficult tap to regulate in your daily life? Share your experience in the comments. Your story may help someone who is feeling the same way. If these reflections are making you think differently, take the opportunity to subscribe to the channel and leave a like. That way, you won't miss the next steps to adjust your routine. Take a deep breath for a moment. Sometimes, just by talking about it, we can feel the pressure ease a little, right? And speaking of relieving, in the next section, we will learn practical ways to transform this busy routine into something lighter, without needing special tools, just with simple and possible actions. What if you tried something different to start your day? Many seniors report that waking up and going straight to the window, taking deep breaths while watching the street, makes a huge difference. The simple act of breathing in for a count of 4, holding it for 2 seconds, and slowly releasing it for 6 seconds helps to bring oxygen to the brain and calm the heart. You don't have to spend anything or leave the house. Just open the window, feel the wind on your face, and pay attention to your breathing. Those who try this morning break notice that their body begins to slow down, and that feeling of being in a hurry diminishes. If you live in an apartment, it's worth resting your hands on the windowsill, feeling the cool texture, and paying attention to the sounds of the neighborhood. A practical tip is to define a breathing spot, such as your favorite armchair or a corner on the balcony, to create this daily ritual. Many people have discovered that moving their body first thing in the morning can be a real game changer. You don't need to join a gym or buy equipment. Stretch in bed, stretch your arms above your head, rotate your ankles, open and close your hands. Get up slowly, walk to the kitchen and do 3 rounds of shoulder raises, as if you were saying, "I don't know," with your shoulders. This simple gesture activates circulation and sends the message to the brain that the day is beginning, no matter your age. For those who feel insecure, you can lean on a chair and do gentle movements. The benefit? Increased energy, improved mood, and less stiffness in the joints. A valuable tip: put a colorful reminder near your bed or coffee maker so you don't forget this micro exercise. During breakfast, how about trying the mini recipe for morning calm? Mix half a mashed banana, a tablespoon of fine oat flakes, and a dash of honey. Stir well until it forms a cream. This combination releases energy slowly, preventing spikes in blood sugar and helping to regulate mood. The aroma of the banana and the mild flavor remind you of childhood comfort. If you want, sprinkle a little cinnamon for that special touch. That's how Rosa, always anxious when waking up, decided to try the window ritual. At first, she felt strange, but soon she noticed the smell of coffee, the birds singing, and a new lightness in her breathing. Her heart was no longer racing as much, and little by little, she was adjusting her own worry faucet with less leakage. Adopting new habits can be strange at first, almost like wearing the wrong pair of flip-flops, but then it becomes routine. What about you? Have you tried any of these ideas, or do you have a special trick to start the day? Share in the comments. Your experience may help another senior adjust their own faucet. In addition to the strategies we already know, there is a practical solution that many underestimate: the power of short morning walks. It doesn't have to be a marathon. Just walk to the gate or take 2 laps around the yard. The gentle movement wakes up the body, stimulates the production of serotonin, that famous feel-good hormone, and, as a bonus, offers the chance to smell the morning, hear birdsong, and see the soft light of day. Lucia, our character, incorporated this simple habit. At first, she felt lazy and even resistant. After all, the morning chill and the fear of tripping always appear. But she invested in sturdy shoes, used the handrail, and went slowly. The result? After a week, she noticed more energy and less tension in her shoulders. Another very special tip is to try the infusion of tranquility. To prepare, simply boil 200 ml of water, add a teaspoon of dried chamomile and 1 of orange peel. Let it infuse for 5 minutes, strain and drink while still warm. Rosa prepared this recipe in the late afternoon while listening to her favorite song on the radio, feeling the citrus aroma fill the room. The effect was immediate: relaxation in the body and that lightness that only a good cup of coffee can bring. Of course, not everything always goes as planned. Sometimes, anxiety seems stubbornly to stay, or the body is more rigid. On these days, it is worth remembering an old grandmother's advice: if it doesn't work out today, tomorrow is another day. Don't be ashamed to ask for help. Talk to your doctor about persistent symptoms and share your difficulties with friends or family. Small setbacks do not define the path. These changes may seem modest, but together they create a lighter routine. Walk in the morning, stretch while still in bed, prepare a nutritious coffee, drink a relaxing infusion. After a month, Rosa not only slept better, but went back to taking care of the plants, smelling the scent of the wet earth and smiling when she saw the flowers bloom. Her heart, which had been racing, now beat at the calm rhythm of someone who has rediscovered the pleasure of the little things. Do you remember the mornings when you were a child, when bread with butter and the smell of coffee were enough to make you happy? How about recapturing that simplicity? Give it a try, share your experiences in the comments, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next videos. This week's challenge is choose one of these strategies and apply it every morning. Then, tell us how it went. Soon, we'll bring you new ideas for taking care of your mind and body. Close your eyes, take a deep breath, and imagine the faucet of worry slowly turning off until all that's left is the calm silence of your home. Anxiety doesn't have to be your constant companion. The key is in your hands.